Someone asks you for a favor. You don't want to do it. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you already have too much on your plate. Maybe a part of you knows that saying yes will cost you something. And yet, you hear yourself say yes anyway, not because you wanted to, but because the idea of saying no felt somehow dangerous. Not dangerous like a threat. Dangerous like they might be disappointed. They might pull away. They might think less of you. And so you said yes. Again. If that sounds familiar, it's because for your nervous system, saying no feels less like a social slip-up and more like a threat to your life. Here is the science of why. Most people think people-pleasing is a personality trait, a choice, a habit, even a virtue. But psychologists have been saying something different for decades. In the 1990s, therapist Pete Walker identified a trauma response he called the Fawn Response. You've probably heard of fight or flight, the instinct to confront danger or run from it. The Fawn Response is different. It's the instinct to appease, to make yourself agreeable, to smooth things over, to become whatever the other person needs you to be, so that the threat goes away. Walker's research found that this response is most often developed in childhood, in environments where expressing a need, setting a boundary, or simply saying no led to conflict, rejection, or withdrawal of love. So the brain learned a rule. Keep the peace, keep people happy, and you will be safe. The problem is that the brain rarely updates these rules on its own. What protected you at 10 years old can still be running your decisions at 30. Now here's where neuroscience adds another layer. A landmark study by Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA placed participants in a brain scanner and exposed them to social rejection. What they found changed how we understand people-pleasing forever. Researchers found significant overlap between some of the brain networks involved in social rejection and those involved in physical pain, being left out, being disapproved of, being seen as difficult or selfish. To your brain, that is not a social discomfort. That is a threat to survival. Which is why saying no doesn't just feel awkward, it feels dangerous, because somewhere deep in your nervous system, it always has. But your brain doesn't just feel this in a lab, it feels it in the middle of your living room, at your desk, on a Friday night when your phone buzzes and you already know what you're going to say. You know this feeling. The moment before you respond, that split second where you know what you want to say and then feel something override it. You've canceled plans you were looking forward to because someone needed you. You've stayed in conversations that were draining you because leaving felt selfish. You've taken on extra work, absorbed other people's moods, apologized for things that weren't your fault, all to keep the temperature in the room comfortable. And the exhausting part isn't just the doing of it, it's the mental labor that comes before, the calculation. How will they react? Will they be upset? Is it worth the discomfort? Be honest. When was the last time you actually asked yourself what you wanted? And almost always, the answer your brain lands on is, just say yes. It's easier, but easier for who? Because while everyone around you was comfortable, you were quietly disappearing, piece by piece, yes by yes. Here's the harder truth. People-pleasing feels like kindness because everyone around you benefits from it. The question is whether you do. When you say yes to avoid someone's disappointment, you're not being generous. You're managing their emotions at the expense of your own. And the relationships built on that foundation are not built on who you actually are. They're built on a version of you that was willing to shrink. The people in your life who matter don't need you to be endlessly available. They need you to be real. And here's what the research also shows. Chronic people-pleasing does something to your body. When you spend your days putting out everyone else's fires while your own house is quietly burning, your nervous system pays the price. Elevated stress hormones, emotional burnout, a slow building resentment you might not even let yourself name. The body keeps the score. Every yes that should have been a no doesn't disappear. It accumulates. The version of you that keeps everyone else comfortable is slowly becoming uncomfortable in your own life. Understanding why your brain does this doesn't fix it overnight, but it changes something. Because when you feel that pull, that familiar urge to smooth things over, to shrink, to agree, you can start to recognize it for what it actually is. Not generosity, not kindness. A nervous system doing its best with a rule it learned a long time ago. And rules can be rewritten, slowly, imperfectly, one small, uncomfortable no at a time. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to disappoint people occasionally and still be a good person. Someone else's disappointment is not proof you've done something wrong. If someone came to mind while you watch this, maybe they need to hear it too.